Greetings, everyone. My name is Casey Fenton, and I'm one of the founders of Upstock. Many of you know me as one of the founders of Couchsurfing. I'm really excited to be here today because I'd like to share with you my new startup. It's called Upstock. Upstock is Fortune 1000 worker equity, and it's for every business. So it's not just Fortune 1000s that can have this kind of top shelf equity. Every business can. We're currently working on our go-to-market, which I'll talk about more later, and we have many amazing partners, which I'll be talking about further on in this presentation. So thanks for joining. So here we go. There is a huge problem in the world, and it affects basically 1 in every 70 people in the world every year, and it affects hundreds of millions of businesses worldwide, and that is a problem of cooperation or alignment. It's really hard to get people to work together in a company or in a group, in a project, to make it succeed. The thing that determines whether a company or a project will succeed is how well people can cooperate and how well they can work together. And there are hundreds of millions even businesses around the world that are all suffering because they don't have access to the right cooperation and alignment technology. So as we know, alignment, it creates success. In any project, if you don't have alignment, things won't feel good. They won't feel fair. So it's got to feel fair. Whatever project you're working on, whatever company, it has to feel fair. If you have alignment, you're going to have increased team cooperation. I mean, we know this as entrepreneurs. You're an entrepreneur. You've probably worked on many companies, and you know if you don't have alignment, you're not going to see skyrocketing motivation and enthusiasm, and especially where it comes to creativity and people really putting in their greatest effort possible. If you don't have alignment, you won't get that either. But I think the most important thing that alignment creates is more potent leadership. If you're a leader and you say, hey, let's climb that hill over there, and that's a hard hill to climb, well, are people going to follow you up that hill, or are they going to look at each other and say, so what? Alignment determines this. If you have good alignment, people will follow, and your leadership will be that much more potent. But the problem is only good equity, it creates real alignment. If you don't have good equity, it just doesn't affect, and it could actually even demotivate. So one thing that I know, and you probably know it too, is that traditional stock plans worldwide, they're broken. I mean, imagine there you are, you're a worker, and you've just received a big stack of documents. You're looking at it cross-eyed. No one will tell you what it is, how it works, conflicts of interest. And even if they did, and even if they do, tomorrow you'll forget. It's too complicated. So it's confusing. And it probably took the company, weeks, if not months, just to get that document to you. And of course, it adds to a cap table problem. Too expensive, costs tens of thousands of dollars, $20,000. Well, at least it's maybe better than a napkin and handshake agreement, you might say. But is it? I mean, you can't scale a napkin and handshake agreement, but a lot of times stock plans are even demotivating people. How is that? Well, when you receive a set of documents that you don't understand as maybe a founder or an investor, if you don't understand those documents and you read them and you're just not quite sure what it really means or what it does, are you going to commit capital? Are you going to commit yourself to a plan like that? I don't think so. I certainly wouldn't. I would probably just treat it like a job. And that's what I saw in my companies. I saw that after I'd raised millions of dollars and I put in the best equity plans in Silicon Valley, best lawyers, some of the lawyers that work for Facebook putting in equity plans. And I watched at people's faces and I asked them, I said, why aren't you motivated? I thought we were paying you more. We've got the best equity plans in the world. And come on, aren't we aligned? And they look at me like, I don't get it. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this does. And I feel like it might even be a shell game. It might even be like you're just trying to pull a fast one on me. That's just the antithesis. That's the opposite of what, as founders, what we want to see happening. And as investors, knowing that that's happening out there is just, it's like, that is so much wasted capital. We know this. So that a game theory, creating alignment, creating the right game for people to cooperate is everything. So how can businesses actually solve this problem? I did a lot of research on this and over the course of the last 5 years. And then what I found out was that there are actually plans out there that work, yet they're just not reachable by most people. Fortune 1000 equity, that works. That stuff is where it's at, you would say. Okay, so basically, what does Fortune 1000 equity look like? You can have a set of legal docs. It's like RSUs, and usually it's kind of one size fits most anyway, because you go to a law firm and they'll say they're customizing it for you. but they're not doing a lot of customization. It's kind of boilerplate. And then they may provide you with a dashboard. Maybe you have to make your own dashboard. And all of this, what I found out when I priced this out, costs millions of dollars. Maybe I heard from one of the top lawyers in Silicon Valley with the largest number of startups. They said it would cost about $800,000 to get the documents together to do what we wanted to do. And then also a dynamic dashboard, they're just like, I don't know, good luck. I mean, you have to create that yourself. I mean, now these are the dashboards that Fortune 1000s and Fortune 100s use. I mean, you got Facebook, Google, you have Google Points, Facebook RSUs, whatever you call them. They're basically RSUs with some kind of motivational dashboard so people can see what they own, and seeing is believing. So if you can't see it, you can't believe it. You put it in a drawer, you forget about it. You sign some doc, and is it really motivating? No, if anything, it's demotivating. People think it's a shell game if it's just, a stack of documents an inch thick you don't understand. So what works? Fortune 1000 equity, if everyone could have something like this, we'd see a lot more successful companies. So of course, it can easily solve cap table issues because you're using RSUs, so it's virtualized. And it can also be optimized to prevent lawsuits. It's a little more, you don't have people on your cap table as much. I think that prevents lawsuits. There's many ways in which this virtualized or synthetics or whatever you want to call them, RSUs, really are superior to using options. So here's a little peek at the dashboard. Here's Jane's valuation. We can see that the company has gone up in value at the bottom, is 500,000 all the way up to 5 million. Her share of it currently is valued at 125,000. And see, now after she's logged in, she can see this live estimated valuation, which is the valuation plus all the work that's been done since the last valuation. So you can keep going up and to the right. There's many things you can do with equity like this. You can even view future models. What would it be like if the company was worth 10, 20, 100 million? Now everybody's thinking like a founder. This is so key. It's trickle-down founderism, you might say. If everybody's thinking about making that valuation go up, and they're knowing that people are all aligned together, at least on the equity, which is so key, well, what happens? People start to look around, workers start to look around and say, hey, what am I doing every day that makes that valuation go up? As a company, we need to create more value. Okay, what's truly valuable? What would be actual value? Well, what am I doing right here, right now that helps create this actual value? And so then as a CEO, you of course, you've already been thinking like this. You're thinking, well, what's my valuation? How do I make the valuation of the company go up? Basically, how do I create more value? How do I improve this in a way that most people, rational people, people with experience would say, yep, this company is getting better. Well, that's the name of the game. You can see here, we've got this other equity pool. We have a performance equity pool of 15%. That's where Jane's in that pool. You can see all the people that are in the pool. You can see that the valuation source was 12 investors on a convertible note, and so on. So this suddenly you start to see how this equity gets gamified. If you wanted to, let's say, double the value of your equity for the workers for just 1 month, you got a crunch time, you got to hit a deadline. Can you do that with options? What are you going to do? Go and rewrite everybody's option grants for just a month? I don't think so. This is really, really easy to do in the Upstock dashboard. You can click a couple of buttons, and then suddenly you have double or triple someone's equity. You can change the exit multiplier. Like, hey, if you're here at the when the company is sold, you get a 300% bonus on your equity. So thanks for staying. Thanks for you can make it worthwhile for people to stay. So there's so many things that can go on and on about the things you can do when you can virtualize equity in this way. So let's talk a little bit more about the cost. The cost, it's about 40 times more affordable than getting a similar system out there, and it takes a lot less time. So for instance, Upstock is about $20 per worker per month, and we can actually go up quite a bit from there because there's a lot of room to grow as time goes on, but we've chosen a price that nobody can argue with at this time. So if you were to do the same thing with a traditional stock option plan for 50 team members, you're looking at probably $50,000 or more. And if you were at a medium-sized business, I mean, it could be $250,000 or more, depending on your law firm, depending on where you are. But you wouldn't have that dashboard. If you wanted to have these extra abilities, you'd be looking at a Fortune 1000 equity system plus dashboard. And at that point, you're really looking at 500,000, a million, 1.5 million and up to get this kind of functionality. And you probably wouldn't even have all of it. So there you have it. It would take millions of dollars and many years to be able to use this kind of equity tool in any company, and it's just not reachable until now. We've run some beta tests for the last few years, 6 companies, over 200 workers, 105,000 hours and counting. And in that time, we've seen paid out through our system $7 million in total compensation. Now that breaks down into $2 million in cash about and $5 million in equity. And now you can see about 68% cash savings. What does that mean? Like, how do you do that, right? Well, now founders have a whole new tool, a tool they've never really had before. And that is offering people equity that workers, they believe in. They could actually believe in this equity. It's amazing. Sometimes you may have heard, oh, people in Europe and other places, they don't believe in equity. Not true. What we've seen time and time again is they don't believe in equity that's a shell game. If they can see it and they can believe it and they can read the documents and they make sense, they believe in it. I mean, people are rational. And they can believe in taking a risk that they know when they can understand the game and the rules being played. So we're seeing again and again, you can hire an IP attorney for pure equity and they can believe in it. And now they can see their equity in real time. So you're able to hire people on pure equity. You can say to a Java developer, you're $100 an hour. How much would you take in cash? How much would you take in equity? And they surprisingly, they'll slide that slider back and forth. They'll say, you know what, I could probably take $50 an hour in cash and $50 an hour in equity. I want to make I love what we're doing. I think this is going to be a success. Give me a bunch of equity, right? So you're seeing 3x savings for each dollar spent. On average, for the companies that have been using this, we're seeing $2 extra in output using equity accomplished. So that's, I think, really powerful. Justin and his team, same effect, 2 years using this, 20 different employees and contractors worldwide. He saved $1.5 million, and he only had to. It only cost him $700,000 to get that output of over $2 million in output. Pretty big deal right there for him. Okay, so Upstock, I've compared it to what else is out there. Let's compare it once again. It's the easiest. It's the most motivating option as well. So if you were to compare the Upstock's onboarding process, it's instant. It's as fast as you can click and understand, how do you set up a performance, the pool, what percentage do you set up? You probably start with 1% and then you grow it as the economics make sense. It's easy to do that. You don't have to go and, oversubscribe a big pool. You can just set it low and then you can just kind of ratchet it up as more and more people put in the pool. So that's easy. Onboarding dashboard is easy. If you were to hire a lawyer, that would probably take you many months to set up. There'd be lots of reading of documents, trying to understand if these are the right documents, and then finally just giving up and saying, sure, whatever, I guess go for it. And then the lawyer's going to handle all the distribution for you, and you're going to be thinking you're putting your hand out there to shake everyone's hand and say, oh, you can trust us. But really you're reaching out with a set of documents people don't understand, extremely demotivating. Now, if you were to go and try to do this with Carta, sometimes people think, okay, well, Carta is similar to Upstock. It's really not. So Carta, what they do is you still have to hire a lawyer and you still have to create your plan. It's still going to cost you quite a bit of money to do that. Then you upload your plan and then you digitize. So really, in a lot of respects, Carta is really just helping you get signatures. It's helping digitize a lot of the different classic things you might need to do in a corporation and then get those signatures more easily and keep them digitally. It's a good service. It's just different. So what we're doing is we are virtualizing equity and we are making it gamified. We are turning up the game dynamics, making the costs come much lower, and we have a one-size-fits-most plan. That plan is being converted into other jurisdictions around the world as we speak. So when we talk about the motivation tactics here, Upstock, we have a visual dashboard. People can believe in that. Seeing is believing. If you see a set of paper documents you can't even understand that feel like a shell game and you put in a drawer, that's actually demotivating. So that's like a negative right there. Carta, a little bit better. You've got electronic documents. It's a little easier to keep track for the administration, but you're still in the same situation. It's still demotivating. You don't have a motivational dashboard. But at least maybe employees can log in and see how many units they have, something like that. But still, it may not make sense because for many reasons, but it's just, your backend, it's using the old, classic stock option model. So it's really not that Fortune 1000 model that really works. So one thing that is really important to me is never to release something that is going to mess up some company somewhere. That would be the worst thing in the world. So we've really de-risked that in a few different ways, few different key ways. First of all, we've made it so that we can retroactively fix the documents on the fly. So if the IRS or some regulator somewhere says, hey, you didn't do it right, or we've changed regulation, no problem. We can change our documents and fix it on the fly. That gives us a lot of security that the future is going to be okay. Additionally, we've worked with Terry Williams. She's an advisor, and she's basically spent a lot of time. We're on version 3 of our documents. She just helped release these, and this is why we're going to market now. We're feeling a lot of confidence around our documents. So we were told by our advisors, don't go to market until you have this dialed in by the best folks in the country who know about such things, which in this case, Terry, she's worked at Baker McKenzie for 10 years, HP for 8 years, doing international equity plans in over 90 or 100 countries. So there's no one better in the world. She understands this stuff. She has built something beautiful for us. Also, Fred, he has done 30 years of expert witness litigation. He knows all the ways in which people sue each other over equity. And he has, hopefully, it looks like bulletproofed our legal docs in our system. So really proud of that. And of course, we have a little bit a bit more of a buffer too, because we have KPMG, PwC, and other firms around the world who are converting our documents, and so we have that gives us a little cover. So final slide here. I think we all know it by now. Equity disruption is inevitable. It's been a bit tough to disrupt it in the past because you really need to understand business, and you need to understand motivation, and you need to understand legal, and not many people out there understand all of those things and can put together a plan that actually can produce the results and do so in a safe way. So it's something I'm really proud of. I love legal. I've been working in legal. I've been working in motivation. I've been working in startups for my whole life. So let's take a look. Let's just take a second. Think about small and medium-sized enterprises. Think about businesses anywhere up to 100 employees, 500 employees. What is equity going to look like for them in the 2020s? Well, I think and I know it's going to totally be digital. I can't believe it's not already. It's kind of interesting. It's definitely going to be global. You should be able to hire people all over the world, gig economy, people working from wherever. You need to be able to incentivize people globally, and it has to be real time. If it's not real time, it's not motivating. It could be even demotivating. So thank you so much. Casey Fenton here, Upstock. I hope you have a wonderful day. Cheers.